Hi, I'm back. I'm Lisa Colon Delay, and I'm doing a 7-part series and finally getting back to the last two in this series. So, this is about David Bentley Hart's book called The Experience of God Being, Consciousness, Bliss. And it talks about being in philosophical terms. We've looked at being, consciousness, bliss. We've seen how the great traditions recognize the same infinite reality beneath different language. Now the question becomes more personal. What are we? Not what are we in the world, our jobs, our roles, our histories, but what are we at the deepest level? Hart says the answer is rather strange, and it's where the real transformation happens. So think about your sense of self. There's the eyes that there's an I that experiences everything, an inner observer, a consciousness that is always there beneath the thoughts and feelings and sensations. Even when thoughts change, when feelings come and go, the basic sense of I remains, this sense of self. We call it the self, the soul, the witness. Different traditions use different languages. Here's the puzzle. Where does this self come from? What is it? Modern psychology treats the self as a function of just the mechanical brain, the integration of various mental processes, the ego, as if that were a real thing, that constructed a sense of identity based on memories and preferences and personality traits. And yes, that is real. You do have a personality and a history and preferences. Of course, that's undeniable. But David Bentley Hart asks something else. Is that all there is? Is the self merely just the sum of these mechanical functions? Or try this. Observe your thoughts without identifying with them. Notice how thoughts come and go. But you're still there. Emotions arise and they pass. But you remain, this self, this I. Sensations change, but the awareness of sensations doesn't go anywhere. It's that awareness. What is it that observes? What is the I that knows? I am thinking, or I am feeling. The classical traditions point to something deeper than just the functional self. They speak of the soul, not as separate from the body, not as some ghostly thing that leaves at death, but as a deeper reality of what you are, your fundamental nature. In Vedanta, the deepest self, the Atman, is understood as none other than Brahman. Your deepest nature is identical with the infinite reality itself, not metaphorically, actually. And this sounds like mystical poetry, perhaps, but Vedantic teachers are being very precise. They're saying that beneath your individual identity, beneath the sense of a separation you feel between you and others, it is your perception in the infinite consciousness. You are not ultimately separate from what David Bentley Hart has been calling being, consciousness, and bliss. You are an expression of it, a localized manifestation of that infinite reality. Christian theology says something similar, though with different language. You are made in the image and likeness of God. Your deepest nature is your capacity to participate in the divine life. The soul is the principle by which you're alive, not just biologically, but spiritually. Your capacity for knowing God, for loving God, and for union with God. And this raises a question that might sound like a heresy to modern ears. Are there many selves or one self? Your experience tells you there are many. 7 billion people, each with their own consciousness and their own perspective and their own I. But Hart asks you to look deeper still. When you're fully present in genuine love and meditation, in a moment of profound beauty or understanding, does that sense of separate self intensify or does it dissolve? Most people, if they're honest, recognize that the deepest experiences involve a dissolution of the constructed self, a sense of union, a sense of being part of something bigger. The boundaries between self and other become less rigid. In these moments, you touch something true. You glimpse what the mystics are pointing to. David Bentley Hart argues that the deepest self, the Atman, the soul, is not finally separated from the divine self, the infinite consciousness. The appearance of the separation is real at one level. Your individual identity matters, and your choices matter, and your life matters. But it matters because you are not ultimately isolated. You are a participant in the divine life, a wave in the infinite ocean. The infinite is what you are beneath what you think you are. And it has enormous implications. It means you're not an isolated ego struggling to survive and accumulate. You're not an isolated consciousness in a dead mechanical universe. You're a participant in something infinite. Your consciousness is a localization of the infinite consciousness. Your capacity to love is a participation in divine love. Your ability to recognize truth is a participation in divine wisdom. This doesn't erase your individuality. You're still you, with your own perspective and your own gifts and your own path. But you're you in union with something infinite. Think about what this does to anxiety, to the terror of meaninglessness, to the sense of isolation. If you're fundamentally separate, if you're ultimately alone with your own consciousness in a universe that doesn't care, then existence is sort of frightening. But if your deepest nature is your participation in the infinite, if you belong to something greater than the anxieties, that anxiety becomes unnecessary. Your life has intrinsic meaning. You're never actually isolated. Hart reveals that existence itself is a gift from the infinite source. Consciousness reveals that awareness itself participates in the infinite. Bliss reveals our deepest longings, that they point toward infinity. And when you integrate all of this, when you understand that you yourself are participant in this infinite reality, something just shifts. You're not a stranger in the universe. You're not an accident of matter that happens to be conscious because of complexity of the brain. You're a manifestation of infinite being consciousness goodness taking the form of you as an individual. That changes everything. So next time, we'll talk about how then shall we live? What does all of this mean for actual life, not just ideas we think about and bat around? For how we love, how we work, how we grieve, and how we hope, this all matters. I hope you'll share this series, and please subscribe to the channel.